Welcome to our latest project car, the Budget Miata build, presented by Nankang Motorsports and Race Pack. If you guys are regular viewers of our channel, then you'll recognize this car. We debuted it a few months ago when we first bought it for $3,700 Canadian or about $2,700 US. As our cheap challenge car. So our cheap challenge concept is to basically build a cheap and reliable Miata with basic modifications for track duty, and then put a bunch of different YouTubers, a bunch of different racers, different drifters, celebrities from the automotive world, and even some of you guys in this car in head-to-head battles. So every challenge episode will have two drivers in it, and they'll race for lap times, and we'll put them on a lap time leaderboard, and then maybe at the end of the series we'll do some kind of like, you know, grand championship where we'll bring the fastest 3 to 5 guys back for a second round, and we'll put the car on a stickier tire. We're just gonna get right down to it with some maintenance modifications. It's time to give it a tune-up, so we're gonna change the plugs and do the air filter and change all the fluids out, and I think change the radiator out too, Pete, right? This thing is, it's been a minute since we've been under the Miata here, and I forgot that the previous owner must have driven over like a can of white paint. There's all this like white paint everywhere under here. Look at it. It's almost like plaster. It's really weird. Yeah. Anyway, I think he maybe drove over a can of paint on the highway or something, but oddly, the drain plug is a 13 mil. I've never come across a 13 mil drain plug before.
You can say that's a hairdresser spec.
It is, and I've already made my first mistake. It's too bulky to fit in here, PT. I'm gonna be on a goofy angle. I just need a wrench. I'll be right back. 13 mil wrench on there. Come on, baby. There she goes. And mistake number 2, I forgot to buy an oil filter, and I'm not wearing gloves. So we've got lots of oil, but we didn't buy an oil filter, so we're gonna have to fix that at lunch.
I'm just curious to see what this looks like, DP.
Yeah, it's gonna be, well, who knows? I guess we're about to find out, and I'm about to get real oily. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, she's like on the last thread here.
You sure you got that line? Oh yeah, good.
Actually, it's not that bad.
No?
It's dark, but it's not like black.
Okay.
So
that's a good sign.
And it looks like there's a healthy amount of it in there too, so we'll call that a win. So I'm gonna go buy an oil filter, and we'll carry on with this in a moment.
So we're gonna take this front plastic panel off here because we wanna get to the oil filter, and I wanna get to the radiator because I feel like we're gonna see what kind of condition it's in, but we're gonna be removing it as well. So this does need to come out.
Yeah, to drain the fluids alone, it looks like that all has to come out,
yeah. Well, let's have a look here. Wow, would you look at that, DP?
Yeah?
So much space here, motor's looking all right. We got a small little oil leak. We're not gonna worry about that, but otherwise it's pretty clean and not a lot of rust, which is what I like to see.
Yeah.
That is good.
And where is the oil filter? Is it up behind the alternator there?
The oil filter is, well,
I think I saw it behind.
Kind of noob Miata dudes here.
Yeah. I thought I saw a white filter.
Oh yeah, it's
up
right
in
here.
there.
You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, right in here.
In there. Okay.
Let me pull this guy off. Shame on you, DP, for saying that we have to go to the store to get an oil filter, because guess what? The stash delivers. I went in there. Look what it says. SR oil filter. I have a couple of those kicking around. HP 1008, same size as the Miata, and bam, we are back in business. We don't even have to go to the store, and as a bonus, we got ourselves a K&N filter. So I'm gonna install this, and I think we're gonna move on to the transmission. I'm curious to see what that fluid looks like.
Hold on, buddy. You gotta prime that filter, don't you? You
It's
just going in
primed.
dry?
It's already primed.
Oh, it's already primed. Oh man, you just pulled it out of the box.
Okay, let's see if I can crack this loose here. 24 mil. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Damn, there we go. Should also note, I think, what are we gonna do here, DP? You can see this hose clamp here. It's loose.
Yeah.
That's rattly rats.
Yeah.
I don't know, do we
even bother with an exhaust system?
No, I don't think we're gonna touch. I don't want to touch the exhaust system. I think we leave it stock for now.
Tear that stupid heat
yeah,
shield
maybe
off
we'll
there,
just tear it off and that'll be it. Like the hose clamp thing kind of works, but it almost doesn't.
Yeah.
I've got like safety wire that can also work, but then it doesn't really clamp this. So, anyways, we'll figure something out real quick. But let's get back to draining the fluid here. Oh man, I also do not have the right gloves for this.
No,
so,
you're about to ruin a set of gloves there,
yeah,
buddy.
I'm gonna go bareback here and see what happens. Ooh. Oh, look at that. Man, it looks good too.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody took care of this
nice
car.
And golden looking.
Yeah.
So. Moving on to our rear diff here. Let's see what we got, DP.
We're going for the long drain here. You got the pan all down low.
Oh yeah.
You
know what? This looks pretty damn good too.
Oh, it's not bad. It's a little...
You know what it is? It's always the smell test.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Not funky, eh?
It still has that very transmission gear oil-like smell. You know what this is, Dave? This, my friend, is the lock wire fix to a rattling heat shield. Look at this now. It's not going anywhere. I used it here, here, and there. I just need to clip the excess off. This tool's pretty awesome, actually, and here's the lock wire. It's on Amazon for, I don't know, under 20 bucks. I think you can get both of these, or maybe 30. Definitely worthwhile having for things like this. But this shield here, I don't think I'm gonna mess around with. I'm just gonna tear it off. So let's see if, I think I might need a little bit of pry bar action. There we go. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's pretty rotten, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? It's a cat.
Let it breathe.
Oh, look at that. There's one side. Let's see if I can remove this bottom side here. They're usually tacked on, but probably got enough corrosion in it. And they'll let me tear it off. Woo!
There it goes.
There we go. So our exhaust modifications are officially complete.
All right, it's time to fill this thing with fluids from back to front. Starting with the rear differential here, we are going with Valvoline SynPower Full Synthetic 75W90. This meets GL4 and GL5 API standards. It's what the rear diff needs. The factory fill is the same type of fluid, so we are going to add a quart or so of this until it oozes out of the fill hole as per usual using our Motive Power Filler. Who doesn't love a good power filler? All you do is you put some compressed air into here, and as you can see, it moves fluid out of the container. Open this valve, and it should make its way up into the diff. Turning the valve the right way would help. And there it goes.
Oh, there it goes, like an IV feed.
It's traveling. It is traveling. So
feed the diff.
when it starts to ooze out of there, I will shut off the valve, and we'll repeat this same process with the transmission.
That's the sound.
Oh, she's full.
And she's starting to drip.
Oh, she's a dripper, all right.
All right, DP. Well,
That's,
we'll call that transmission fluid done.
well, let me get the plug in here. So that, for those of you who are wondering, we use the same fluid as the differential, the full synthetic SynPower from Valvoline and a 75W90 weight. Bam! Motor Oil Supremo. This thing takes 10W30, which is a bit of an unusual spec for a motor. I would have thought it'd be like a 5W30, but anyway, we've got a whole bunch of 10W30, and it just happens to be synthetic racing oil.
The best of the best.
Valvoline's VR1. This is a high zinc formula, which does an exceptional job of protecting your bearings in a high heat environment like at the racetrack. However, being high zinc, it's not especially friendly to your catalytic converters. So this really isn't a street oil. They call it a racing oil for a reason. But frankly, this is kind of a race car at this point. We're not going to be driving this very much on the street. We'll drive it at the track and back, and that'll be pretty much about it. So not too worried about the cats surviving a little bit of zinc exposure. And this will do such a good job of protecting this precious BP motor. I mean, these things are rare and very expensive, so we got to treat it to the good sauce. So we'll also call this a bit of foreshadowing because I'm going to use our Koyo rad funnel to fill this thing up. You'll understand that more in a moment. So, gonna dump almost 4 quarts in here. I believe these are rated to like 3.75 liters. I'm switching back between quarts and liters. It's all very confusing being a Canadian because we do a bit of both around here, but especially if you're old like me, where I grew up with the imperial stuff and then we switched to metric. Peter's lucky. He came from Europe where there had nothing but metric.
It's all metric stuff there.
Everything just makes sense in his world.
It's all right.
So look at the color of this stuff, PT. It's like a greeny blue color.
Yeah.
It's fancy, huh?
Moving on to our next maintenance item, and that is spark plugs. I was actually gonna order some spark plug wires, but then I noticed we've got the NGK plugs in blue, and these look thicker than normal, so I'm gonna leave them. I think they're pretty clean.
Yeah.
Looking good. I don't think we're gonna have to change those out. I mean, with all the horsepower we're making, we may. We'll find out if we get a misfire. So let's see what kind of plugs are in here, what shape they're in. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, tips look pretty damn good. That's what I'd expect out of a optimal running car. However, oh yeah, that's a old plug. You can see that right there. Our NGKRs are worn out. I shouldn't say worn out, but ready for change out. And we are going with Denso. We're cheating on the NGK plugs with Denso.
What are you thinking,
And
PT?
Iridium Power ones too. So I think these are actually a little bit more expensive, but provide a somewhat better spark and actually are a little bit longer lasting. I think that's the real deal with the Iridiums, right?
Yeah, they last a long time, I think. I don't know. I'm not a spark plug expert.
Me neither, but
these cross-reference with the NGKs, so we know they're compatible with the engine.
all right, it is time to check what the air filter looks like. Well, on one side, it is a brand spanking new.
Holy cow,
Look at that thing.
That is brand new.
That's the good filter. On this side, I mean,
It's a little dirty.
it's a little dirty, but
Man, that thing is pretty close to new.
yeah, I don't know. Should we change it out, DP? I mean,
we do
I
have
got the Fram Extra Guard, which is
all
2
that.
times the engine protection. Not one, but 2 times.
Do the math, people.
What I want to know is there still a stigma with Fram, or is that kind of past?
I
you know?
never knew there was a stigma with
Oh
Fram,
man,
so.
people loathe. If you go on the internet and you start looking 5 to 10 years back, the whole world hated the Fram oil filter. It was
oil
like
filter,
it was
okay.
blowing up people's cars apparently.
Oh, really?
Fram was like the devil in that
It's like
sense.
a
but
DSM thing in your childhood or
no,
something?
every car. I
Okay.
remember that.
Let's
Back
not get sued by Fram here.
No,
PT,
no,
so.
we like Fram. That's why we're putting it
Clearly.
in the car. Yeah, clearly. I think we just do it.
All right.
It's like $10 worth it, I
Yep.
suppose.
Stuff it in there.
Let's get it in there. Man, this is my kind of filter change. After working on the BMW, getting back to working on a car this simple, like look at that, what was that, a minute? And we changed the air filter. All right, so I think that is officially a wrap on kind of our maintenance, small maintenance items here, the typical ones. I want to mention this strut bar is staying. It is a homage back to the, yeah, that's right. I don't think that brand
Exists anymore? I don't know, yeah.
So, but the next thing we're going to be moving on to is replacing the radiator here. We want to make sure our coolant is up to snuff and our cooling more so as well.
Man, I love working on 90s Japanese cars. Pulling this radiator out was about a 2-minute job. A couple of nuts on top, undo the hoses and pop her out. So couldn't have been any easier. And as you can see, this factory original radiator, I assume it's the original one.
Well, it isn't because it's got the automatic cooler lines down there.
Oh, you're right. So this has been
replaced.
once. And it's in pretty decent shape, but for one, it's got plastic end tanks, which I have no faith in at the racetrack. These are pretty prone to cracking in high pressure scenarios where you're putting a lot of heat and stress through your cooling system. In fact, I had plastic intakes fail on my Honda Civic race car back in the day, and I lost the motor because of it. So I am super paranoid about plastic intakes ever since then. But also look at the thickness of this thing. It's hilarious. It's like an AC condenser. It's so tiny. And to fix that problem, we've gone with a Koyo Rad Hyper V core. It's got 2 rows. As you can see, it doubles the capacity of the radiator. And it has a very, very efficient Hyper V core. In fact, this is Koyo Rad's latest and greatest core, and they recommend it for high heat or space-constrained situations where you need a very efficient core in a small package. So this is their 36 mil core, and they've done some magic with the tube and fin design where the airflow through it is extremely efficient, so it cools very well for its size. And of course, it has these beautiful, high-quality, all-aluminum, hand-welded end tanks that'll never fail us. These are triple pressure tested before they put them in the box. And we also have the optional Koyo Rad 1.3 bar rad cap, which, as we've explained before, basically raises the boiling point of the water in the system, which gives you some protection against overheating and adding air into the cooling system, which can be a bad thing. You know, air pockets can do all kinds of bad things to your cooling system. And really the only downside to that is that you do put the radiator and the hoses under more pressure. So you want to make sure you got, you know, not ancient hoses on the car, which our hoses look new. They probably were changed out with that Rad. So I think we'll be okay with the OE hoses. Well, they weren't lying about the direct fit on the Rad fan and shroud. It bolted right up without drama. Although our dried out old rubber
Yikes.
isolators cracked because they were so hard and just they've lost all their pliability. But more importantly, PT, I think it's time to take the chicken wire out of this engine bay. What do you think?
I don't know, man. That provides so much protection.
Previous owner put this in here to protect his
Prized possession.
his $100 aftermarket non-performance radiator. So I think it's time for the chicken wire to go bye-bye.
Maybe that was a cosmetic thing. Like, do people?
Maybe it's
do
a
people
race
think,
car
or,
thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's what he was
And
thinking.
it goes along with those sweet red toe hooks that he
Yes,
painted up.
it's
So
true. Well, we will. We'll just pretend that those were performance mods that are no longer needed because we've got some real performance here. Gonna just drop it in the hole without dropping it, I hope. And just like that, the radiator is in there, and it is in fact a direct fit. We have no interference anywhere. It does help though if you use the bottom mounting points for the radiator and not the condenser like I tried to do originally. So it dropped in there perfectly once Pete figured that out for me. These Rad hoses I've got mixed reviews on. They kind of feel old and hard, so we may change those out. But
no, we won't. We're just gonna send
Are
in.
we?
If somebody blows up the car with it, then that'll happen.
we'll have some drama in it.
Remember, this is budget. We're going full budget here.
Okay, well, if you say so, we'll cut corners on those hoses for now and see if they come back to bite us. You can say, or I can say I told Pete so if that happens. But in any case, we are calling this episode a wrap on our maintenance items. I'm excited to make some progress on this car. And next episode, we are going to move on to suspension and brakes. And after that, well, we'll get that much closer to putting your favorite YouTubers or your favorite racers or drifters in this car into some sweet head-to-head battles. As a matter of fact, why don't you comment below and let us know who you'd like to see in this car once it's ready to rip some hot laps at TMP.
And as well, go to their channel
Yeah.
and then post in their comments
right.
that you want to see them drive this thing.
Yeah, let them know that we're doing this, that you'd like to see them come out and go head-to-head against their deadly YouTube rival or drift rival or whatever it is that you want to see. So yeah, let us know on that. And we will have the next episode coming at you very soon.
Holding this in place somewhere. Oh yeah, there's one up front here. Dang at it.
Up in the shadows there,
Shit. Yeah, it's up there.
So maybe you take this little panel out here.
Yeah.